ever dump instruments out into tables, at all, you always separate the instrumentation that you have in your baskets, piece by piece. As well as this is a good time for you to inspect your instruments to make sure they are in functioning order. It's kind of weird.
So this is really for audio?
For audio?
Yeah, like it's recording you video as well, but I'm not really worried about using it. I mainly just got this here for audio.
Okay. Can you hold it?
No, it's fine. It's going like.
All right, if it's fall and break, I'm not responsible for that.
Okay, let me make sure I got my tracking on.
Excellent. Yes, make sure that your yank arrow got 2 pieces. You got the second piece of your yank arrow, copy that. Your levers, the wheat lantern. Always make sure that when you have your wheat lantern, that you, if you have a wheat lantern that's sharp, because you can't have one that has 2 sharp edges as well as 1 sharp, 1 dull. Make sure that you always put a tip protector on it. If they're dull, you don't need to put tip protectors on them. Very good. And as you know, the entire purpose of you actually separating your instruments is to make sure that you're able to identify what is actually inside of the tray. That way, when you have your count sheet, you will be able to go from there. That's the quarter forceps, and the other quarter is right there. So what's the first thing that you do when you strategically place all your instruments to the side? Okay, what is that? The tray liner. This is for simulation purposes only. There is a national shortage of tray liners in the country at the moment. So we're just using heavy duty paper towels for simulations. And then you begin to string the instruments and you must go in order. So the first thing that you should have on that should be your crown heel set straight. Is that true? Yes. Copy that. Then let's get them on there. Now remember, if you're stringing curved instruments, all curved strung instruments must go in the same direction. Very good inspection and making sure that you have everything that's needed. You're missing some instrumentation. That is a wonderful thing. So what is it that you're missing? And how would you go about getting what you're actually missing? I have my undivided permission to go and find the instrumentation that is missing. This happens all the time. And do not forget that some of the instruments are also in the bins. Okay, this is what we're doing. We're actually recording. Can you edit that part out? Very good. All curved instruments going in the same direction. Very good. Ms. Griffin. Ooh, curved.
Oh, exactly.
important things about a wheat laner. It is a self-retaining instrument, which means that this locking mechanism here, that once you place it where it'll just stay there until someone physically moves it, whether it can expand or whether it can retract. So one of the things when we're in sterile processing, we have to make sure that all of the ratchets and the grooves are actually clean, and make sure that it looks like two little rakes on the side. So when it's actually inside of your skin, inside of the body, of course, blood, bone, tissue, all kinds of the yucky stuff that goes on in surgery likes to get caught up in these prongs. So one of the wonderful things about a wheat laner is they come in several different sizes. That's number one. Some come blunt as well as sharp, as well as blunt and sharp, meaning that this side here is blunt, meaning, or some people like to call it dull. There you have it. And then this one here, it will poke sharp. So depending upon what's requested on the actual count sheet is what we will actually give them. Our number one customer is the OR. We are in business, honestly, to make sure that the needs of the OR are always met. So if the tray that she's actually putting together is called a general minor tray. So it could be used for so many things. So there's this general instrumentation that's needed for this particular tray. So if this tray is asking for, I'm just using this as an example, 3 actual wheat laners, and we only give them 2, they're going to be short. And there are a lot of times when we get trays that come back from the OR and half of the instruments are not even used. So the rule of thumb is give them what they're asking for. We'd rather you have too many than not enough. Because if you're right dead smack in the middle of something, and like, oh, I gotta stop what I'm doing, I gotta go back and go outside of the room, go to another department to actually get what I need. Patients on the table, under anesthesia. So we're going like, Mr. Hart, stop ticking for a minute. Mr. Anesthesiologist, keep them under until I can go run. We don't need to do all of that. So it's like one-stop shopping. We are responsible for giving them every single thing that they request from our department. So that's why sterile processing is so important. We are the heartbeat of the facility, period. I don't care how gifted the surgeon's hands may or may not be. If he or she, them or they, do not have instrumentation, good luck with doing a transplant. Because I don't know how you're going to do it with your fingers. You need proper instrumentation, and instrumentation that is going through the aseptic technique. There's no way around it. So, yes, job security. Because one thing during COVID, you can honestly say, surgery has not stopped. Period. Whether it was emergent or scheduled. Scheduled surgeries may have slowed down a little bit, but I promise you, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, somebody's on somebody's team. So this is a lot of job security in here. You can't do anything without it. You can't, which is a wonderful thing. Love that part of the job security. So she is now finishing up, Ms. Griffin is now finishing up all of her great hinged instruments. I'm sorry, I got to talking and I got a little distracted. Yeah, when you finish putting those on, I need you to just hold it up. Okay? Put on properly. No. Let's do one at a time. Excellent. Now earlier I asked, I'm going to hold this up like this. Now as you can see that there are a lot of instruments that are going to, a lot of curved instruments that are going to my left, that are these and these. So the rule of thumb is always have your instrument, your curved, strong instruments going in the same direction. So it doesn't matter if you hold it up, don't want them to fall on the floor. Doesn't matter if it's held up like this, or if you hold them up like that. They're still all going in the same direction. So it just makes it the aseptic technique it just makes the aseptic technique more appropriate. And there will be some times where she has more instruments on her table that's left over than what's actually on her count sheet. That happens all the time. That's why when we get a minute, if you look at that board, those are all extra instruments. So let's just say that she needed an hour, an English air clean, and she didn't have one. There's extra clean instruments over there that she will be able to grab them off of and place them into her tray. Okay. All prep and pack or assembly happens on the clean side. Nothing dirty in this room. All cleaning happens in the decontamination. That's where you'll see all the remnants of the surgery, I should say. It's not for the weak, but when you're in decon, you get used to it. You're just like, okay, there's a lot of blood, especially if you have orthopedics, a lot of labor and deliveries. As you know, if you have any children, the mamas and the babies, they don't come out little clean buggers. They come out little slippery and red. That's what happens when you get birth and you have children. So that's what we're doing. So right now she is counting how many knife handles that she actually has, and that's actually on the list. And while she's doing that, I'm going to take this. This is called the Yankauer suction, and this comes in 2 pieces. You can mark this off, and I'll just put it up in here. So the whole purpose of this is when inspection is involved, which is what she's actually doing. You have to make sure this actually screws on. It's actually screwed on. So when this was in decon, it had to be disassembled. Because can you imagine what was left in here and then what's left around the screw part? So we have to pay attention to detail. Because if we leave things unchecked, it can cause an infection inside of the patient, and that is not what we want to do. We always go for patient safety first. And I'm going to put this back on for her, and I'm going to hand that to her. And ladies and gentlemen, she's putting her internal indicator. This little thing right here is so important. They come in different sizes. This tray is meant to go for high temperature sterilization. High temperature sterilization. When they open up this tray in the sterile field in the operating room, the first thing that they're going to look for when they open up this entire tray is going to be this little indicator here. As it, see right now, this little white window is clear. It means that it has not been sterilized. The first thing that the surgical tech is going to look for is to make sure this little window here is going to be black as your sweater. That means that the sterilization process has been completed, and we always try to put these in the hardest to reach places inside of our trays to make sure that when the sterilization process is going on, that the sterilant hits the hardest spots. So where we're going to place this at, I'm going to look at. There you go. She stuck it up under something. So the sterilant that we use in high temperature sterilization is nothing but steam. Steam, like come out the shower, the windows and the mirror are all foggy. You just have to wipe it down and you see yourself. So that's basically what this is. So as long as that turns black on the inside, that indicator, we're good to go. They're able to use it. And there are some times when techs forget to put their internal indicators inside of their trays. If they do not find the internal indicator inside their tray, I don't care how beautifully put together that tray was, I don't care how correct that tray was, this tray will come right back to here. Actually, it'll go straight to here. Because they cannot guarantee sterility. That is an internal indicator. Now, another thing that she will do after this is this is supposed to go into a rigid container. However, for sterilization, for simulation purposes for school, and there's also a national shortage of rigid containers in the country. We don't have them. So what we're actually going to do, and what we're actually allowed to do actually in the field, is to aseptically wrap this particular tray. So do you mind getting a wrap for me, please? Is it good?
Nah.
Are we, John, you good? Y'all got enough?
Yeah, I think with her, right? With her, right? Like, she good. That was good.
You need more? I got you.
No, that was good. That was just great for the process.
I got you. I can give you something. What else you need?
Catch up for the,
I can't tap in.
I'm coming back. No, you can finish that. And then that'll be that.
No, she got wrapping regardless.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got enough for today?
I got enough for me. Definitely. I'm still recording with that. So yeah, finish that up with that.
Copy.
And then that way, that'll be the whole process, like her wrapping. So you good with that?
Yes, that's the whole process for here.
And I still got this. Yeah, so you good.
Around here somewhere. They might be in the, did you look in all the days? Did you look in the wall? It's fine, we get somewhere. So you're done with it.
John? You ever want to tilt the camera in here?
Okay, cool.
Curls out, here's one. If you want, I have one. I'm sorry, it's a Kelly. This is straight Kelly. I have two straight Kellys. I got one from. No, I'm sorry. All three of these are Kellys.